Welcome back, friends at G&K. We are going to highlight what we feel is a hidden loss that exists today in soybean production. The timing's kind of right for this to be talking about it, and it's something that's hard to visualize from the road or in the field, so there's something we want to talk about, and that is soybean cyst nematode. Soybean cyst is actually a worm that infests the root of the plant as a female and lays an egg sac, and that egg sac basically sucks the life out of that plant and stresses that plant. It could kill the plant, it could severely stress the plant, it will really pull down yield. They're somewhat hard to identify. If you look very carefully, and sometimes with a magnifying glass, you can see egg sacs on the root of the plant, but you have to really understand what you're looking for. The proper way to find and assess soybean cyst nematode is actually with a soil sample. That's why we're here right now in October, because harvest time is a great time to test for soybean cyst if you suspect you have it. Soybean cyst nematode is actually a difficult thing to assess visually. There's trouble spots in the field that can be identified. Sometimes soybean cyst is confused with nutrient deficiencies, herbicide injury, wet spots, compaction, yellowed plants. A lot of times those are trigger points of potential soybean cyst. Soybean cyst will be mostly targeted to lighter exchanges, sandier soils, extreme variability in soil types. If you have lake bed soils or clay-based soils, those are actually unlikely for soybean cyst. Although, we'll talk about some steps to confirm whether it is or isn't. A simple soil probe is really all you have to collect or assess soybean cyst. So we can just simply take samples, just like we would a regular soil sample, and we take these cores and we'll send them to the laboratory. The lab's gonna report back counts per 100 cc of soil. 100 cc of soil is about half of an 8-ounce coffee cup. So about 4 ounces is about 100 cc's of soil. And that will tell us the severity or lack thereof of cyst. Our suggestion is if you have any kind of count per 100 cc implies that cyst exists. The higher the number, obviously, the higher the pressure and the potential. So just a couple pointers. Obviously, if beans are still standing, like this field behind me, and you see stressed pockets and stress areas, it's a lot easier to go find them and spot sample those. If you're in a harvested bean field like what I'm standing in, it may be a little more difficult to know where to go, but targeting specific areas can help narrow down your data set and your decision making. But going into standing beans could be the easiest, but just having targeted areas would help. There are a couple winter annuals that are a host plant to soybean cyst nematode. Those consist of purple dead nettle, henbit, common mullein. Those are typical winter annuals that we see every year. If they exist in your fields, or you know that you have a history of those can be a host to soybean cyst. So try to keep those under control. So those that incorporate cover crops in your operation, like cereal rye, for example, believe it or not, cereal rye is not a host. There is some data that suggests that cereal rye actually helps lower the pressure of soybean cyst, but they will not host soybean cyst. So that's okay to do with no risk. Maybe before that, let's understand why soybean cyst might be more of an issue today than before. So for many years, there was a trait called PI 88788, which had a natural resistance for soybean cyst. That's been incorporated into a lot of soybean varieties for a number of years. And just like anything else, like overuse of glyphosate, overuse of herbicides, overuse of technology for insects to develop resistance, we've developed a resistance against 88788. So that's not doing an effective job of holding back cyst. So those areas that we're experiencing higher cyst counts, we have to look for other options. That would begin with one of three things or a combination thereof. Rotation of host crops would be your first and cheapest line of defense. So that's simply rotating to corn, rotating to wheat, or alfalfa maybe in a few cases. But rotational crops can help alleviate cyst pressure. The next thing to look for, there are more cyst tolerant varieties and even some resistance to cyst. So you have to get with your seed dealer and try to work through that if you know you have a cyst situation in place. As of late, there are a couple good seed treatment options on the market. Ilevo is one that is proven to control cyst. Another one on the market is called Saltro, which is known for cyst suppression. Not so much control, but more suppression. But there are some options available if you want to combat it via a seed treatment, and we feel comfortable with any one of those, whether it's rotation, resistant or tolerant varieties, or seed treatments, or a combination thereof. So this is a rather short video. We realize it targets maybe a select few or even a select few fields, but it's also a hidden issue that's very difficult to diagnose just driving down the road and walking by fields or even walking in fields. But I think it's something to keep in mind. If you see trouble spots as you're harvesting, or you know that they've existed this year, it might be something to keep in mind on testing for that. It's very difficult without an actual soil test sent to the lab to measure our counts per 100 cc. Without that information, it's hard to really make a determination. So just something to keep in mind as you're sitting on the combine seat. It may fit you, it may not. If you have any questions, feel free to call us. We're here to help you. We appreciate your time. Hit the like button, share with your friends. We're always here to help. Thanks for watching. Out. The traffic is relentless. There's one of our viewers. The only one. Okay, hold on. I got something to say. Can you see my nose hairs? Anything else you think I need to say?